Hey, how's it going, universe? Welcome to another episode of Nightcap for June 1st, 2021. Back at it. Out on the hunt, on the prowl in the night. Looking to utilize the suffering of others for our entertainment. Oh boy. So yeah. Got my Jaws shirt on, so I was like, oh, I better wear the captain's hat, you know? Gonna need a bigger stream, they say. Well, here we go. Tonight, we're gonna get into something I talked about, I don't know, a few weeks back. Like maybe checking it out, seeing what the scuttle was out there in the modern times of gang stalking. Now, if you don't know what gang stalking is, basically when people think they're systematically being kind of tortured and disenfranchised by large groups of stalkers. They think everything is out to get them, basically. And that has a lot of different permutations. There's a lot of different levels to like what gang stalkers report as their experiences. Like, I mean, some people just think, you know, people are following them around, watching them at stores and stuff, surveilling their homes. Other people take it to much, much, much deeper lengths. They think things like movies and television shows are being encoded with direct specific messages just for them. And I have a little bit of personal experience with this. I had somebody in my family who thought they were being gang stalked or considered themselves a targeted individual, although I don't think they really had the nomenclature to really be able to describe that. They couldn't put it into words. They couldn't articulate it. The only reason I know that this person was suffering from this is because, like, it was explained to me, like, what they were going through, the kind of things they would say, and I was like, oh, that's gang stalking, that's targeted individual stuff. Because if you've been online for any long period of time, you know that gang stalking has been a thing since, like, at least online, especially like on YouTube, people doing diaries and testimonials since probably around 2009 or so. And it didn't really catch on, like, in the zeitgeist until 2017, like people paying attention, like we're going to check out a Vice documentary. It's like a little short doc they did. Probably give us a good, like, kind of roundabout view about what entails gang stalking, the types of people that feel that way. You know, to me, a lot of it seems to people with, like, schizophrenia. That seems like definitely a large part of the people that think they're being gang stalked. And then they find online communities, just like everybody, looking for a community, looking for a home, looking for, I don't know, something to believe in, somebody to believe them, and then they kind of gaslight each other. And then they find themselves in a cycle where they can't really get out of it. When I was doing a little bit of light research looking to see what we could watch tonight, I found that some people are definitely still doing it, and it's taken on a little bit more of a like a religious lens. A lot of people that are, like, really heavy into Christianity deeply believe in gang stalking. A lot of it motivated by things like, oh, well, you know, you're just an empathic person, and these are demons that are following you. These are demons that are haunting your life. They kind of use it almost like as some sort of proof for their own beliefs. It's interesting. So we're just gonna kind of start there, and then we'll see where the night takes us. You know, we'll start with gang stalking. Maybe we end up somewhere else, per usual. But to start off, we'll start off a little light, you know? I like to start off light. We got a song here. We got a song about gang stalking, or at least some form of gang stalking. Let's see what it is. We are the gang stalkers.
Called my baby just the other day. I called my baby, but she gone away. I called my woman and she...
Would you trust this man? Would you trust this man? Would you? I don't know. I feel like I'm being hypnotized. Am I being gang stalked right now?
Didn't reply. I wanna be with her all the time. I'm a gang stalker, baby, and I do just fine. I followed my baby to...
See, this is a nice touch, a nice production touch. They've obviously gone to some motel. I appreciate that. I got respect for that.
The county line, I seen my woman with another man. My heart went cold, so I thought up a plan. We're the gang stalkers, buddy, and we're everywhere. If you see a gang stalker, then you better beware. We follow you around in our bright red cars. We're all gang stalkers, and we know.
Might want to dress in something a little less conspicuous there, buddy. Just saying.
Where you are. I'm a gang stalker, but I ain't the only one. I know a gang stalker who's a hired gun. He followed my woman dressed all in black, and now my baby ain't come.
I'm surprised there's not some sort of age restriction. Dude's like, he's got his guns.
Back. We're the gang stalkers, buddy, and we're everywhere. If you see a gang stalker, then you better beware.
Thank you for the lemon, brother.
You around in our bright red cars. We're all gang stalkers, and we know where you are. I know a gang stalker in the secret police. He burned all the records of the recent deceased. 2 weeks later and the time has passed. Nobody missing, no questions asked. We're the gang stalkers, buddy, and we're everywhere. If you see a gang stalker, then you better beware. We follow you around in our bright red cars. We're all gang stalkers, and we know where you are. We're the gang stalkers, buddy, and we're everywhere. If you see a gang stalker, then you better beware. We follow you around in our bright red cars. We're all gang stalkers, and we know where you are. We're all gang stalkers, and we know where you are.
Hey, listen, respect. That was all right. You know, that's probably going to be stuck in my head now. Do you have any little... No, just the logo. You've been gang stalking. I think I have finally gone insane. Oh, enticing video title. Got to get those clicks. Well... So I think this guy was like inspired by like, I don't know, I've never heard of this channel before. Rusty Cage, 1.57 million subs, so we'll probably definitely get content claims. That's for sure. So he's got another video here reacting to clickbait YouTubers, gang stalkers. So I'm kind of curious how he frames it, because I think, well, let's see. So the date on this was April 16th when this came out. When did he make this video? May 1st. So it must have been after the release of his video. They had probably people in the gang stalking community doing hot analysis, hot reacts only to the song we just watched. Well, he's going to answer his critics. You know, if we're going to accuse a man of something, we've got to give him a fair hearing. Let his voice be heard. So let's just check that out.
Oh man, I might be stoking the wrong fire with this one. This just might be the video that finally gets me killed. I mean, I've made content in the past that have gotten people pissed at me. Sure, I've gotten my fair share of death threats. That's just a part of the game. But this time,
how the fuck is he still like on YouTube? I'm surprised he hasn't been nuked. Gang stalking, guns, nooses. These are all the triggers for not monetizable content. Well, maybe he's not monetized. That's why he's got a Patreon.
Could very well be fucking with the wrong people. Crazy people. Actual insane people who might watch this video and take it upon themselves to find me in the street and finally put a bullet in my head. I mean, hell, it happened to John Lennon, but fuck it. I'm no John Lennon, but I did make a song called We're the Gang Stalkers, which I kinda knew would trigger a dedicated and fanatical subculture of loonies who have completely lost touch with reality. If you don't know what a gang stalker is, then you're probably like most sane people. But I'll give you a brief summary to help you understand the mental roller coaster ride we're about to embark on. Let's just read a few definitions from one of the internet's most reliable sources, Urban Dictionary. Gang stalking is really a covert government or police investigation. It's similar to COINTELPRO or Red Squads. It's being used on a lot of innocent people to ruin them and make them look crazy. A psychological attack that can completely destroy a person's life while leaving little to no evidence to incriminate the perpetrators. The goal is to sensitize the target to a stimuli, isolate the target, make them destitute. The secondary goal seems to be to make the target homeless.
I kind of love that Urban Dictionary has like this very thorough, as if it were real explanation.
Jobless, give them a breakdown, and the primary goals seem to be to drive the target to suicide. Okay, so the idea is that gang stalking is a secret, unseen organization of gang stalkers, whose goal it is to follow, monitor, and harass targeted individuals in order to make them seem crazy and ruin their lives. Well, mob
Prophet says, I wish I was being gang stalked. Maybe these people could help with the fucking dishes. Or move the goats for fucking once. Yeah, you think they'd give you a little bit of a little juice, a little help out, you know? But then again, these people are sick, Prophet, you know? They like to, they wallow in your misery, in the minutia of your day.
harassment is certainly not an unknown phenomenon. But one thing that I've noticed about people who believe that they're being gang stalked particularly is that they are all fucking nuts. Just YouTube search videos of people getting gang stalked and you'll see hours of footage of these so-called targeted individuals filming random people on streets or in buses and coming to the conclusion that these innocent civilians going about their normal day are actually gang stalking government agents set out to monitor specific targeted individuals, all while harassing them with subtle stimuli like secret hand signs, honking their horn, or even driving around in red cars. Let's see what this targeted individual has to say when she confronts her gang stalker, who just so happens to be the local mailman.
Stop stalking me, right? Don't ever stalk me again.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
About what?
Don't ever stalk me again.
Who's stalking you about
You. Laugh some more. Do it.
what? You're crazy.
Is that right?
I have no idea who you are, lady. So, you know, you're dreaming, you think I'm stalking you.
I don't know if they exist anymore, but there was a time where they were just channels, entire channels. This is all people did. All day. They would do like vlogs and they would confront people in the street. It was kind of crazy. Prophet says, I saw 5 baby bears crossing the road today, like fucking newborns, small as cats. One scuttled up a tree as I drove past. Gang stalking me. Can never be too careful, man. These people go to any lengths. Bear costumes, even up on the mountain, you're not safe.
Good luck with that.
Well, now that you're familiar with gang stalking, let's continue. So after I released my album Gang Stalkers, I found a 45-minute Google Hangout video called Satanist Rusty Cage Makes Album Titled Gang Stalkers. Satanist? Satanist? Who, me? Rusty Cage? A Satanist? I have always said, time and time again, that I am a proud Muslim. Praise Allah. And going through this guy's channel, a very clear theme seems to be present in all of his videos. That, of course, is gang stalking and the supernatural. Demonic harassment, aka gang stalking. Gang stalking is supernatural. Multi-dimensional gang stalking. Witchcraft and gang stalking. And, of course, Satanist Rusty Cage makes an album titled Gang Stalkers.
Got an interesting program tonight. We're not really sure where it will go.
Be interesting.
But
well, I'm gonna need a little bit of help reacting to this one.
We just pray in the name of Jesus Christ. We plead the blood of Jesus
Praise
over this
Jesus.
connection.
you know, I research gang stalking videos a lot, and I kind of just stumbled upon this song today from this album. It's titled Gang Stalkers, and the title song, the first song on the track, is "We're the Gang Stalkers."
Just a little aside here. Remember Google Hangouts? Remember all the wild and crazy shit that used to be on YouTube? Google Hangouts? Holy shit. I used to go down some rabbit holes, man. Found myself not involved with, but watching some communities that would go and live stream for 10, 12 hours about flat Earth and every conspiracy under the sun. Good times. I miss old YouTube.
Now we're good.
But it's weird. Prepare yourselves. It's a weird little exploration
Really?
we're going to be doing tonight.
The song is weird. The song is weird, not the fact that you're sitting in a bedroom wearing a ski mask. Okay, whatever you say.
Do you think he wants people to know? The gang stalkers? He's a gang stalkee. He doesn't want them to know his identity. Come on, Rusty. Come on.
I can't. Well then, let's just get a little weird.
You know, we're going to kind of explore someone who is kind of a self-proclaimed Satanist.
I will have you know that I am a devout Scientologist, sir. Foolish sweet child. You are nothing but a pawn in Lord Satan's army. Now shut up and drink more whiskey.
Honestly, if I was going to cast like a teenage kid as a Satanist in a movie, probably be Rusty Cage. He's got that look, you know?
Yes, sir.
Together, it kind of ties in the Satanists with the gang stalkers.
There appears to be a lot of lore about gang stalking, so let's just start keeping track. Let's see. Gang stalkers are tied to Satanists.
Satanists.
Got it.
There does seem to be knowledge within practitioners of the magic.
Oh, it's true. One of the major benefits of joining the gang stalkers is that you get magical powers. Don't believe me? Just watch.
We're the gang stalkers, buddy, and we're everywhere. When you see a gang stalker, then you better beware. We follow you around in our bright red cars. We're all gang stalkers, and we know where you are.
It's pretty bizarre. I mean, it's pretty bizarre.
super bizarre.
I mean, gang stalking's a pretty fringe side topic as it is.
Yeah.
Better yet, you
Yeah,
know.
but if you're familiar with the internet, like, I mean, come on, guy. Like, it's kind of weird to me that people wouldn't watch that video or maybe check out more of the guy's channel and kind of see it for what it is, you know? He's obviously got his finger on the pulse of the internet a little bit. It's just kind of a meme at that point. I think it's, 2018? So come on. Come on, guy.
people who would want to make
Be smarter than the gang stalker, my friend.
music about it.
Listen,
Red
I'll be
cars,
honest.
can't trust them.
I didn't want to make
Blue
this
cars,
song.
green
I was
cars.
forced to do it
Any
by the gang
cars, really.
stalking organization. I didn't have a choice. They told me if I didn't play ball and join their organization, then they would create false charges against me, and I'd be in prison for 10 years. I wouldn't do well in prison. I had no choice but to join the gang stalkers.
You know, he's got this kind of demonic sigil, this demonic like marking he's tattooed on himself and that he uses on his album covers and on his CDs and stuff. He also seems to be infatuated with knives. There's many videos of him playing with knives.
Come on. All right, fine.
This is not a personal attack on this person, but we think it's strange that
This is
a
not personal.
Satanist is making music
Satana!
titled Gang Stalkers about gang stalking. We believe that there are evil spirits inside of gang stalkers that are causing them to do these
Get out of my head!
behaviors.
Get out of my head!
Like he's like an evil Eddie Haskell, you know, from Leave It to Beaver. So that's the vibe he puts off. I'm telling you, I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna cast him as a Satanist.
If you know nothing about target individuals, a lot of people will complain about like what they call color harassment. And red,
You're wearing a red
is the
shirt,
color.
idiot.
So it's interesting that he was talking about like we're following you with red cars.
Okay, he's absolutely right. If you ever see a red car in front of you, behind you, or pretty much anywhere near you, that's a clear sign that you're being gang stalked. So keep your eyes peeled, because we're out there.
And so here's one picture of Rusty with the fidget spinner, which is interesting because like the Church of Satan had to respond to accusations that it was like some kind of satanic
No way.
device.
Holy shit, is this a real thing? Fucking fidget spinners are satanic devices. I've never heard of this before. I'm gonna have to look this up. Pastor slams fidget spinners as the work of Satan as they make children do the sign of the devil. Huh. Yeah, I guess it kinda does. Okay, that's That's enough of that.
I don't know. Simon doesn't know what this sigil is.
You all know what
I
it
also
is.
know from another video that I watched of him that he has a tattoo of 666 on his arm. And
Hey, he's
if
right,
you see
I
somebody
do.
with like the 3 dots like that as a tattoo, like it means they're about that gang life.
I got them 3 dots, dog. What's up? You know I'm about that gang life.
I believe that what we're dealing with here is a demoniac,
Oh.
someone who is
I like that.
willfully demonized in that realm, and therefore,
Back, I say.
depending on where he
Stay
is in the
back.
hierarchy within here he is hanging out with Busta Rhymes.
Shout outs to Busta Rhymes, my Illuminati brother.
You know, when Simon first saw this picture, like we kind of talked about it, like I said, you know, oh well, that could be photoshopped or whatever
Could be.
else. He was
Who
like,
knows?
yeah, but you know,
It's just strange. It's just strange.
Am I really levitating? Am I really levitating? Of course I'm not actually levitating. This is just a simple Photoshop trick. Here, I'll even show you how it's done.
It's just strange. I mean, I've heard stories about Eastern mysticism, you know, or people, if they'd learn how to chant and meditate and then levitate. And am I saying that that's what's happening in this picture? I don't know. It's just, it's a bit strange.
this guy has something like close to 1 million followers.
So
There's
close.
millions of
Let's get to
subscribers
1 million
on YouTube.
subscribers.
It seems as though if you serve Satan in this world over time,
Yeah.
you could be successful.
Yes, yes, preach the word, brother. Worshipping Satan will bring you great success. Oh, God, I need to stop drinking.
Seems like somebody who's very unhappy, very depressed, drinks a lot, suicidal, and like has a real like battle and struggle with like God, and like resents God a lot.
He's right.
in it all. And
I
a
am
lot of
unhappy.
references to the devil,
I do drink a lot.
Aleister
And why
Crowley
do I drink?
as well.
As though I didn't already know the answer? As though I haven't always known that my unhappiness stems from my lack of a relationship with God. Well, no longer will I allow these demons to corrupt my mind and use my body as their hellish vessel. No longer will I hide from God's grace to harbor evil spirits. The time for my conversion is now. In Jesus' name we pray. Cast out all that is slime. Save me, my Lord.
He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and the adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation.
Where am I?
You are in heaven. Your soul has been washed in the blood of the Lamb, my son. Live your life forward and forever in my service, and upon the day of reckoning, I will invite you into my kingdom.
Yes, my Lord. From now on, my life exists solely to serve your holiness. All right, well, where was I?
I thought, I was hoping this would be a little bit more of like direct criticism, refutation, something like that. Although, I suppose, you're dealing with people like he's watching. I guess it's not really worth it.
You know, so God bless him. I pray
God
that
bless
God
you
would
too.
bless him, and
Thank you.
that God would bless even the people who listen to his
God
music.
bless
and
all of you out
okay,
there.
like
I
you
just got broken.
Christian dudes love little gauges, by the way. They love them.
Somebody asked in the chat, like, do you people have a problem with Rusty Cage? I mean, if you
Good
don't
looking
like
out.
him, then leave him alone. And I just want to say, like, may God bless.
May God bless Rusty Cage, and we're gonna pray for him. May God
Are they gang stalking Rusty Cage right now?
bless all the people who listen to his music, and
I've learned a valuable lesson today. I've learned that even if someone doesn't like the things that you do, the songs you sing, or the content you make, it's still important to remain civil and treat everyone with kindness. As these two gentlemen, Maskface and Mr. You Know, have shown me kindness through their prayers that my soul be saved. I hope none of you viewers will think that this video is in any way an attack on them, and I certainly don't encourage any of you to harass them. It's all just in good fun. And now that I'm a Christian, for real this time, I pray that you all have a spiritual awakening of your own. Whether you achieve it by downloading my new album, Gangstalkers, or purchasing a Gangstalker shirt from my merch store through the links below. Well, and if you can't afford either of those things, perhaps just click like and subscribe, as well as...
Okay there, Rusty Cage. That's enough. That's enough of that. Enough commercials. Okay. Done with that. I did find something else. Gang stalking, demonic harassment. My God, these things are so long. Gang stalking by JT. Teach Holy Spirit Ministries. The world of sugar daddies. Oh, jeez. Let's see here. Gang stalking has everything to do with demons trying to replace you and your family. Let's hear from a normie. Oh, another lemon. Thank you, Prophet. Lemons everywhere. Lemons all over my body.
Hello, this is Jocasta Lester, and in this video, I want to talk to you briefly about something else I considered, okay? I was at work today thinking about demonic strongholds in families and how these particular things, these voices and things, the familiars and the stalkers and the things that go wrong, they tend to be spiritually grounded and founded in sin. Okay, let's say you see a whole family, right? And that entire family looks like
they could all be demons. This is like reminds me of the movie Frailty. You ever seen the movie Frailty? Bill Paxton, Matthew McConaughey, Powers, motherfucking Booth. I feel like somebody like this is almost like ramping up to be a demon hunter.
Retarded or something, or it just looks like the people are slower in that situation. And you can't quite put your finger on what's wrong with a person, but you know that something's wrong, right?
Every day, sister.
So you later hear, that a person has been bothered in some way.
It's like talking about going to Walmart.
Spirits that are awful enough to try to take your brain from you, okay? And by that I mean this. They're highly oppressive, so much so that a person trying to have a clear thought process under the influence of these particular spirits may be rendered slower. Okay, so I've dealt with it, and it's no joke. I've dealt with memory struggles. I've dealt with not so much competency issues truly, but yes, they come with an artificial unintelligence, okay? So I say all of that to say this. Sometimes people who have been going through, they may have been struggling in the dark and in silence, okay? So let's say there's these spirits that we didn't understand.
So she's saying like mental retardation is a demonic effect? Is that kind of what I'm hearing here? It's very much frailty.
That makes people feel hateful and angry. And we didn't understand what demons actually do. We were in this society being taught how not to be faithful in terms of really believing in what we were going to church to hear. Okay. In other words, they were teaching us things, but really we didn't understand that they were true. Okay. So now let's say there's this family, and I'll give you a hypothetical. A family where there's a father who dabbles in spirituality. From time to time on the weekends, he goes to witch doctors to get a mojo.
Where the fuck is she from? She sounds like she's from the United States. Is this a common occurrence? Fathers dabbling in spirituality, going to witch doctors? Maybe in Louisiana.
Wow, these demons came from where he went to get the mojo home.
Mr.
Fast forward a
Mojo
few months or years later, someone within that household gets hurt by a family member that, they don't understand why people move the way they do. But highly anti-Christian ways include, pedophilic tendencies and such. So let's say fast forward, now that family member has a root of bitterness, potentially, that started to fester. And that person dealt with a demonic attack trying to hold on to that person after maybe a childhood trauma. Okay? Now, these particular things came for whatever reason, but they may have been imaginary friends or something like that. But basically, they talked to them and they didn't know.
I mean, this is all just kind of standard things that even if you've seen movies about possession, it's the kind of the standard log line about what that is. So I guess her position is that gang stalking is the physical manifestation of demonic possession. There you go. I helped you out, lady.
That these things could slow your brain down. But then they started to basically pull that person aside, or sets of people aside, and try to keep them to themselves, just for them to discover later that they couldn't trust them. Okay.
Where the
In other
Warrens
words,
when
they're
you
the
need them.
evil spirits that try to seduce you into being their friends, and they show up. From what I've seen in some cases, when people are in sin, but also after they try to take the place of a friend that's trusted. Okay? So let's say you got a mommy or daddy and something happens to you.
So is this friend like a new person in their life that like tries to ingratiate themselves to this family member? Or is this somebody that's literally being taken over by a demon to go after another family? Like it's somebody you're already friends with. What is she saying? What is the secret?
And you're hateful about it, or something really just something you don't understand happened. Okay? Well, these things come trying to be your friend, trying to make you feel better, but they're demonic and they have an agenda, so that they show up and then they try to keep you. And when they try to keep you, they try to keep you away from God. They try to keep you away from anyone that's willing
She was up under the covers. The hell is she doing?
to be your friend, so that when they follow you from place to place, you don't know why people don't like you, but you find out that they don't like you because these things have been stalking you. Now, some of them manifest themselves as actual audible voices. Others of them, you can't hear them, but they stalk, and they may manifest themselves as different forms of physical oppression, including different ailments like teenage arthritis or Asperger's or autism. You didn't know why you were ailing over the years, and society, because the evil had taken root.
Like this is like really old-fashioned kind of thinking in terms of how, people hundreds of years ago used to think about mental illness. It's kind of like flat earthers. They just take that and they're just like, no, that was the truth. That was the thing. What's up, Hagbard? She was hiding from demons, duh. Oh, my bad. You're right. This is a pro vertical video. Sam Hyde would be proud. He would be.
The physicians, instead of the true healers, started to get more of a spiritual root. In other words, laying hands and praying became something that they scoffed at, but they started to favor vaccinations and stethoscopes, not knowing.
They started to favor vaccinations and stethoscopes. That's a pretty broad spectrum.
That laying hands and praying is more effective. And effectively, here's the kicker, without God to make the medications work, they wouldn't work. You put that.
So basically, all medication is a placebo effect that God allows or does not allow to work for you. That's a hot take. That's a hot take. That's Scientology times 1,000.
That into perspective, okay? So, with that said, let's say that these different entities take root however they do. So, I've noted a silent version that you can't hear, but they affect you. In other words, they oppress you, but outside of what is now interaction. Then there's the audible types where you can actually hear them talking. So let's say a person.
She's kind of all over the place. Like, okay, now she's talking about differentiating the different kinds of demons that might affect her life. But she's doing this under, like, framing it with gang stalking. And she's talked about literal people fucking with you by being demonically possessed, or maybe, I guess. And now she's talking about more esoteric things like spirits. Try to follow it.
They thought they were talking to an imaginary friend as a child, or they thought they were talking to their God friend. But really, and that particular voice was getting them through things, okay? And yes, sometimes if you read the Bible, depending on what is going on with you and what God's plan is for you, different things like God's thoughts are hiding our thoughts and his ways are hiding our ways. Let's say somebody bullied you as a kid, and then, you find yourself by yourself with God helping you through some things. Even if the voices came to try to attack you, he could turn them around and he could still love and nurture you and bring you to him, okay? It's kind of like that, okay? Some people find themselves by themselves, but they later discover after they've been, unrighteous or something, that these voices manifest themselves as familiar. It's like, no! Then they get to tearing stuff up, taking stuff.
This lady is a fucking laugh riot. Prophet says, spirit cooking? What do you mean, like a rum cake?
Okay. So I say all of that to say this, okay? Some people who are slower or seem to have different ailments, if their whole family is under a demonic oppression, it has much to do with a sin root in the family, and demonic energy.
The whole family's involved.
To take possession of
that fucking dad out there looking for mojo, looking for magic. He's brought this upon his entire family.
The family, okay? So if it's a family where you're like, why everybody in that family got diabetes? It's a demonic manifestation in a household. I'm telling you. So.
Or it could just be good home cooking, spirit cooking. It could be that too. God, I wish that I had this kind of perspective. My life would be so much simpler. Life would just be simpler in general. If you could just be like, hey man, bad stuff happened to you, probably a demon. What did you do yesterday anyways? What did you do? You steal a piece of candy, Tim? You brought all these demons to our house. Then you gotta beat it out of them. No choice.
Help people, pray, and repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And I implore you to understand. Look to God to bring you your spouse. Okay? And don't go doing it on your own anymore. Just make sure that you ready yourself for your ideal spouse. Okay? And have patience. So
that was, I understand that there's like a broad connection there. That's a pretty hard pivot to go from there to there. I guess bars are out of the question. Don't be on that Grindr. Don't be on that Tinder. Okay? No swiping for you. Swiper, no swiping.
I had a video where I said read the encyclopedia, the dictionary, and the Bible. I know it sounds ignorant, but listen, hear me out. The reason, like if you're not prone to reading, okay, and you just want to, and I'll confess, I haven't done all of those three. I read the Bible. I haven't gotten on top of the dictionary and the encyclopedia, but I plan to. The reason why the encyclopedia exposes you to a broad array of interests and topics, so that if you wanted to pursue any one specific or several specific things that you discover in the encyclopedia, you know, it's a launching point, but it's good to broaden your intellectual horizons, because basically you get an understanding of the entire world.
Good advice, I suppose. Prophet says it's not that constant KFC, Fanta grape, chips, candy, hydrogenated oil, ice cream, pizza, mac and cheese, and cereal. It's demons, baby.
In one volume work, okay? As opposed to becoming well read on one author and having just those things to discuss.
It's like Jordan Peterson. It's just the most broadest, vaguest advice. And I don't hate Jordan Peterson or anything. I don't want to seem like I do, but his self-help stuff is just like, don't be careless. Put forth effort.
Dictionary is designed to, of course, enhance your vocabulary.
No.
Like we used to do in school, like set up like writing definitions and, you know, practicing learning the words, okay? And first is the Bible. Read that to understand how to pursue the world with sound morals and principles, okay? The encyclopedia being second, so that now that you understand that you need to view the world in a particular way, now, well, what world? The encyclopedia. And third,
it's interesting because it's like listening to David Icke, who's like got all this great information about kind of elitists and elite families and the structures of those things and how they work, and then he's like, and also they're lizards.
Third, now I want to have a better comprehension of the things that I understand about the world in terms of context. Okay, so that was the reason why I shared that. So have a blessed and marvelous day. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And just know that there is a such thing as demonic strongholds. And the reason why I wanted to tell you to read those three things is to ready yourself for an intellectual exchange. Should you
do you ever come across a demon?
Find yourself with someone that you like. After you broaden those areas of those interest areas, try your best. If you are a person that is sensually driven, meaning what they call horny, try to describe that particular act in as many colorful ways as you can. Develop your ability to write poetry, to do things, to convey, and to
all good advice.
Have that heightened ability to be able to discuss it. In other words, I'm having trouble finding the right word for it, but basically to be able to engage well without being confined to the rudiments of conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. And by rudiments, I mean being just unable to have, I don't want to say an intelligent exchange, because there are varying forms of intelligence, varying ways to express intelligently. Okay.
She's woke too.
But as it pertains to being able to have a conversation of a heightened nature without condescending unintelligently, I think it's neat to be able to develop a way to say, I want to hug you. That's novel, and to spend years just exploring, I want to hug you in many ways, so that you and this person is potentially your interest. And that's something I didn't do before I got married. You know, I didn't do it, and I wish I had. So in order to help you
avoid, did she marry a demon?
Just pursue those things so that when you get ready, when you find that person, y'all are so intelligent together. Or you may have this heightened thing that you bring to the table, and you can talk to this person that's not threatened by it. And oh my gosh, the potential is bountiful. Okay. So with that said, Of course, pray that God brings someone into your life that you, that He wants for you. Okay? And I didn't do that. Please proceed with better intellect. And the reason why I brought that up, all those things, is because families that have these demonic strongholds, you may find yourself unevenly yoked. Okay? Just doing things without forethought and without giving it the due diligence of compassion on both ends, compassion toward that person, because if y'all come together as a wreck, God can fix it. But either way, and that's that, God can fix it. But, and you know, He can allow you to avoid a lot of errors. And many people, they jump into bed with someone without understanding that they didn't want to do that. So avoid the demonic strongholds in your gene pool, okay? It's not to eliminate people as options. It's just to protect.
Yes, it is.
The kingdom within your womb, should you decide to bear children one day. So have a blessed and marvelous day, and repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Take care.
Okay, so the second half of that video, like, you know, even from a secular perspective, good advice. Be well read. Be well educated. Don't just fuck anything that moves sometimes, especially if your intention is to have a family, right? Got to be a little more highbrow than that. But yeah. So what else we got here? So we're going to go into this Vice documentary that is about this, kind of give a broad view. And then maybe after that we move on from gang stalking. I mean, there's other testimonials and videos to watch, but they're all very similar to that. You can find there's some real crazies out there. There are. And they've made some videos. I've seen them. But that woman, in a weird way, kind of articulated what those people try to say a lot of the time. Other than the ones that are just like really fanatical and really like suffering from schizophrenia in a weird way. Although it's weird that like you can have people that are will kind of adopt that kind of worldview and then use it to rationalize just like kind of their normie Christian existence. Seems like I don't know, unnecessary. But we'll check out this Vice doc. Maybe we'll check it out for a little while. I don't know if we'll watch the whole thing. And then we got some other stuff to get into, but yeah. Do you see? Do you see? Closer.
This has many names. Gang stalking, mob stalking, community stalking. You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening.
First, The Guardian revealed the National Security Agency is collecting telephone records of millions of Verizon customers.
You can surveil someone through their phones, through their, certainly through their television sets.
The way they're framing this is actually fair in terms of people that have already have some sort of psychological problem or disposition. I mean, it's the truth in terms of the surveillance state. But I can imagine that really fucking activating some almonds, really getting some people worked up, you know?
Last year and a half, he's been systematically followed by a group of people.
Does the FBI use drones for surveillance on U.S. soil? Yes.
New Associated Press investigation shows that the Bureau has its own little Air Force with scores of planes flying over American cities, recording video and tracking cell phone conversations.
He has a man outside of his house in a hood, like basically.
Oh, look, it's Oliver Stone's son. Sean Stone. He's a wacky dude, so.
a hood that looks, and we can.
Well, this almost sounds like gang stalking or something. Have you heard of that?
Oh,
Many of the things that victims of gang stalking describe are also symptoms of mental disorders.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
Gang stalking is defined as a form of organized harassment and surveillance. An estimated 10,000 people worldwide identify as victims. Mental health experts see gang stalking as delusional form of paranoia. Victims insist the experience is real.
I grew up with my parents. My mother was a medical doctor. My father was a former rocket scientist turned teacher. I grew up with a desire to be a graphic artist. And then I didn't like school very much, so I joined the Navy. And I did that for a couple of years.
Started watching
Didn't
anime.
like that too much, so I came back to LA and basically lived in Los Angeles as a homeless man, just living on the street. I had my truck with a shell, and I worked as a handyman or construction jobs that I would get. The gang stalking experience started for me when I noticed these black SUVs and other police vehicles driving slowly along the street, but they never came up to me or said anything. And then I had 7 or 8 helicopters hovering directly over my apartment, and then it goes, and it keeps happening, and I
See, this guy's like internalized all this, but in it being about him rather than just being about this kind of almost larger, like I said, surveillance state that we kind of live under. He just kind of projects his own neuroses onto it. Why it gotta be a black SUV? That's what I'm saying, dude. You always gotta look out. Spike Lee was right.
It begins to dawn on me that something is going on, and this continued on. Here comes the gang stalking helicopter. Here he comes. It's confusing to humans trying to understand gang stalking. Why would they do this to me? Why would they do these weird, petty little things that, may even just irritate me at some moment? If you were to ask me what gang stalking is, it's a way to slowly kill people using their own decisions. See, we're getting one of our friends here. I don't know if you can hear that on the audio, but we're getting a buzz right now. And on certain topics that I'll bring up, I'll get buzzed.
Guy's excitable. Why you gotta get gang stalked in my neighborhood, on my street, on my side of the block? Man, I was gang stalked here as a kid. Ah, shit.
My understanding of gang stalking is that a number of people have found each other on the internet who believe that they are being targeted for harm.
I wouldn't believe that guy.
There's this concept of hypervigilance, right? Which is that your threat assessment centers get locked into a position that is too high. They're warning you all the time about things not necessarily untrue, but that you would feel better not worrying about. Being of the opinion that you had to constantly look around and figure out what might be threatening to you, or else your life would be at stake, would lead to you not just seeing connections that weren't there, but erring on the side of safety when you see a connection that might or might not be there.
I'm a self-taught makeup artist, and depending on the list that you look at, probably one of the top 10 makeup artists in the world. I think that just my life experience, me being around famous people all the time, what paparazzi photographers do to them, what normal people do to them if they go out in public, there'll be a gang-like reaction. This is essentially the same thing, except it's not, I didn't ask for it.
Billy identifies as a victim of cause stalking, a form of organized stalking.
In my experience, it started over a year ago. I had rented a space in Hawthorne, California, and people warned me that as a gay man, it was maybe brave of me to rent this space. I never think about things like that. I didn't know what it was called. Like I said, I just thought that it was bullying. I just thought that it was, people that were just like, get the faggot out of the neighborhood or whatever.
Right.
When 20 or 30 cars are hazing you on the freeway, behind you, in front of you, on both sides of you, completely controlling how fast you go, whether you exit, whatever you do, this is something bigger than that.
It is Pride Month. Yeah, it's Pride Month. Oh, you think I don't know what I'm doing? Pfft, of course.
Spray painting their cars on the freeway. I pepper sprayed them. At this time, it was trying to get them to call the police. That's what I was trying to do. I had no other way, I felt like, other than to find out, are these people together? Are they working in this one collective group for the same reason?
What is the reason? I hope he elucidates, like, what is the reason? Like, why would he be a target? Because he's a gay guy that moved into that neighborhood? Is that what he's inferring? That people would work in concert to harass him out of the neighborhood?
What they'll do to a particular person in order to stress them out is they'll hit them with the same thing over and over and over again. I would get Los Angeles Police Department vehicles lighting up their sirens and not pulling me over, but zooming around me, almost like a continual tactic. This happened so much that I was inspired to buy a dash camera.
I believe it was the very next day, and it was the first time I experienced what I know now is called street theater. And I watched the parking lot literally fill up with cars. And, you know, heterosexual couples would hold hands and like stroll through the back of the parking lot like they were on some 1950s sitcom. People that are trying to look incredibly normal look incredibly abnormal because they're acting. It's not authentic. That was when I first started thinking, it's all of them against me. This is clearly a collective, organized, whatever is happening.
If a conspiracy is a bunch of people working together to do something that they don't want publicized, then it would be absolutely wrong to say that the world is not filled with conspiracies. The question is, what does it do for you to spend a lot of time thinking and feeling about the conspiracies that you believe exist?
Government has to know about it. How can this can't be like some rogue group operating, you know, some shadowed thing and nobody knows about it.
I go to the Van Nuys Police Department, I walk in, I say, this is my ID, this is my name. Are you following me or do you have any knowledge of me being followed? Is there a reason for you to be followed, sir? No, there's not. But people are. Who's
Seems like a fair question.
following you? Well, I don't know who it is. Well, what are they?
Just some guys. Just some guys.
They driving? They're driving cars with dealer tags
Red
that you
cars.
can't trace. Well, sir, there are a lot of dealers here. There are a lot of dealer tags. How do you know that they're following you? Very quickly, you see how crazy you sound. I've never been arrested. I've never had a DUI. Anything whatsoever. Whoever is in charge, which is so weird, is spinning this web about what a deviant, immoral, less than a human being you are. That's the only thing that I can think of that would get that many people in this collective effort to get rid of you.
This happens to you enough, believe me, you will feel stress. You will get that feeling of helplessness. This is not just like a gang of random people just doing this for...
But what is the goal? Like, if you have a gang, this is not just a gang of random people. Then what is the purpose of it? And why you specifically?
You know, like randomly or without a plan. This is procedural.
The psychiatric definitions of delusion tend to focus on really two principles. One is that the ideas that you have are not very vulnerable to evidence. The other is that people in your culture don't share your beliefs. The question becomes, if you can find 10,000 people on the internet who believe the same thing as you, is it a delusion? Is it bizarre? Quite possibly not. If everybody believes this stuff, how is it in any way insane?
People just would not believe.
Prophet says the goal is to feel like you are the star of your own movie, even though you're a cosmic piece of dog shit.
Believe the suffering that people in this community endure every single day.
I've lost just about all of my friends. They're afraid to talk to me. They think it's very effective. They think I'm crazy.
My family doesn't know anything about it. I don't say a word to them. I don't know if my son knows, and I don't want anything to happen to him.
Really, the most important thing that we can do for victims is to connect them with others who understand what they're experiencing, because no one else will. And isolation is really a key weapon that these perpetrators use to bring a person down to the ground, basically.
If you go to see a psychiatrist, let's say it's the first time you're meeting a psychiatrist, and you say, I'm under police surveillance, then the psychiatrist will write you off as suffering paranoid schizophrenia, and then he will give you medication. So we must assume that this is what American society believes, that all these government agencies, which normally watch over people, don't actually watch people at all. If anybody thinks that they are being watched by this government agency, then they must be crazy. It cannot possibly be true.
There really is no help at the moment officially to assist targeted individuals. They can't go to the police, they can't go to the FBI, they can't go to Congress. There is nowhere that they can go. We are having to create the issue and also the solution.
Why isn't our nation listening? This could be them. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the nation is under mass mind control.
Given that the
It's like, yeah. You want to come over to my my camper? Look like you're right.
The world is filled with groups of people operating in secret or trying to divorce us from our money or our power or whatever they want from us. One thing that might be helpful to ask from a psychiatric point of view is, what's wrong with the rest of us? So why am I so relaxed? What's wrong with me that I don't feel I'm being gang stalked? And is it that I'm living in the matrix where in order to feel more comfortable, I have decided to simply ignore a lot of the evils in the world and a lot of the potential threats to me?
Well, that's what I kind of said at the top. It's just like all of these things are kind of credible. Some of the things that they may recognize or their reactions to the surveillance state of the world, and like the psychologist kind of just stated, a lot of fucked up things go in the world. A lot of clandestine operations that are kind of half in the open, half not. Trying to pilfer you, trying to make your life worse for their own gains. And these people just project some sort of neurotic sense of self onto those things. So it's not necessarily that they're wrong in a very broad view. But like Prophet said, they want to feel like they're the stars of their own movie. They are the thing. They're the focus.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is this scene where
It always comes back to the Matrix. No matter what you're talking about, if you're talking about anything even parallel or that touches on this kind of stuff at all, everybody's always talking about the Matrix.
Keanu Reeves' character climbs out of the battery vat chamber. You can't see, precisely what it is because of that loss of focus, but you can definitely see that something is abnormal. As you look into it, I drew a picture of what the shapes of those claws are. It looks like a bird talon or a reptile talon. I started searching on conspiracy-type movies, UFO movies, weird movies on YouTube. I came across the reptilian shapeshifter subject. What I can confirm is that there are apparently non-humans, apparently some of them are extraterrestrial, and apparently they have some kind of evil grip on our world. Richard Bruce here, and if you haven't seen my channel before, this is gang stalking for reptilian shapeshifter movie uploads to YouTube. When I uploaded my study, within 15 minutes, helicopters kept zooming over my apartment like there was a drug bust in my building. And then it didn't take me long. I think it popped into my mind pretty quick. Oh my God, is this from what I uploaded to YouTube? Because the whole thing was so freaky at first. Like when you're seeing these non-human features, you're like, oh my God, what is this? What could possibly be going on?
They're carnivorous. They are not friendly to mankind. At least the ones that are here.
Are you saying carnivorous, they eat humans?
Yes.
When I told my family about this, it's almost like I get like a non sequitur reply from a computer. It's like they just kind of look at me like I'm not even hearing this.
Hello,
and
Zinistry.
I'm really not interested in that. My father, the rocket scientist, the doctorates in mathematics, when I tell him anything about this, one of the main points of discrediting me is saying that you just have to be negative and dark about everything. You have to, because of your own dissatisfaction at being unemployed. I mean, that's a highly, it's an understandable point of view. It's like somebody who's disgruntled with life in general might flock to an idea, yeah, there's evil reptilians doing it all to us, and that's why I'm so miserable, or whatever,
Nobody wants to be called crazy. It's one of the worst things you can imagine. I don't think I or any psychiatrist would recommend that people are convinced that what they believe is not true. The more useful target would be, what pain are they feeling in their life?
At least.
Zinistry says, NPCs. I do agree that non-human shapeshifters have integrated into our society and now control the media, banks, educational systems, and government. Yeah, they're French. Zinistry says, he lives in a trailer and his father is a rocket scientist. And yes, they're all reptiles. Reptiles! Yeah, because he's clearly has some kind of personal, emotional, and psychological problems. You can't help people that don't want to be helped.
If I can achieve anything by exposing this issue to the general public, it could be that it takes away these criminals' right to destroy people's lives with this, because it's terrible what's happening to people. I mean, what kind of a country do we live in where you can't say certain things or do certain things without our own government using these subversive, underhanded tactics to drive you crazy?
For what?
You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening and is stranger than fiction or anything that you can imagine. And it's...
Uh-oh.
This is terrifying. Fuck. I don't want to start crying. It pisses you off. It frustrates you beyond anything that you can imagine. And it,
Get it out, Papa.
It changes you.
All that for it changes
you?
You?
See it from everything. The fluoride in the water, the chemtrails, the fake education system, the fake medical system. I mean, when are we going to wake up and stand up and fight? As the scripture says, how good is it for brethren to be together? Meaning, how good is it for people who truly trust each other and our friends to be together?
Richard continues to upload analysis videos of reptilian shapeshifting to his YouTube channel, which I think we're going to check out next. Since filming completed, Billy has come to believe that fundamentalist Christian group based in Mississippi is the source of his gang stalking. have it, folks. Well, there's that. So before we get off this topic entirely, though, let's check out that dude's channel, Richard Bruce. Let's catch up with the chat. I still can't even for a second believe this guy is gay. Zinistry says, damn, I feel the same way about COVID. And I'm happy. Well, I suppose, right, if you were thinking about compliance culture and getting you to do things, I suppose that's a fair parallel. So we got Richard Bruce here. Got his YouTube channel up. I'll show you his YouTube channel. Still at it, even just a week ago. And that documentary we just watched, I think, is from 2018 or 2017. So what else you got? U.S. Marine Randy Kramer swears in front of Raptor reptilian judge. The two spirits that rule within us. Gang stalking. Be ready. Targeting gang stalking. Amazing angelic healings. There it is. There's the Christian angle. The truth about Christmas. Los Angeles man exposes secret reptilian rulers. Where to go? That's kind of a long one. I was hoping for like a more succinct one. Why Trump may concede. Reptilians in the LAPD buzz man for exposing them. Park preaching, you can do it. Holy shit, is he out there in the park? World powered by demons. This guy is all over it. He's got it all. Musing my paranormal encounters and love in 2019. Oh, that's the one. That's the one.
Got a coyote here. Broad daylight. Usually they don't come out except for at night. Hey guys, so I just had me a big
Diamond Hand strong
marmalade.
Thank you,
restaurant French toast with fruit on top and coffee. The whole thing costs $23 with the tip. And I know that's pretty exorbitant, but I just thought I would tell you what happened. So anyway, I'm also now, in an irresponsible manner, going for another one of my famous drives to downtown Little Tokyo. And you may be wondering, why do I record on this, or why do I keep doing it? Well, frankly, I really don't have a better thing that I like to do, you know, or place to go. Even though it's really nasty down there, but it's like the...
Is he still homeless? I mean, we saw him in a camper. They didn't say whether or not he had a car, but now he is fully mobile.
It's like connecting with my Japanese anime roots, you know?
I knew it. See, in the documentary, we found out he wanted to be an animator. I made a joke about him staying home and watching anime. Wow. There you go. Prof says this is like 1,000 RPM, but retarded.
And it's all superstition, it's all perception, but I just like it. It feels comfortable to me, even though, like, I'm aware in my mind that Japanese are not necessarily going to like me, although I just made a really good friend of a Japanese guy, a policeman actually. But, you know, in general, like in the anime culture vibe.
Prophet out there using the wrench
thing, whites are not, you know, really accepted, or, you know, non-Japanese, I should say, are not really accepted. Or actually in LA, it's the as long as you're not white situation, which I know it's kind of hard to believe, but I found that to be the case, at least, you know, among certain groups. And also I know that in this life I am going to be pretty well alone. because the elect are solitary. And so I have figured out that in my life, unless I were to run into an elect that I was pretty sure was an elect, I'm not going to, whoops, sorry about the noise, I'm not going to make a friend on the spot. I know that they're going to be an enemy of my spirit. I know that seems pessimistic, but those of you who have been in the world as Christians who may also experience being solitary or not, but you may still understand this, that the spirit of Satan is the general spirit that's out there. It's our default spirit. And in my opinion, is why he can make everyone, great and small, rich and poor, doesn't matter, bond and free, receive the mark of the beast. Causes all, rich and poor, doesn't matter. Because we're born with that mark, and you only get that mark removed if you become a servant of Jesus Christ through the guidance of the Holy Spirit.
I hope you guys are writing this down.
In the salvation of Jesus. So I know that when I go out, you know, I used to hope, like my dream would be to run into some people that were into mech culture, which is like they call it mech. I really call it giant robot or piloted humanoid tank, basically. So that I'm the guy in Risky Business who says, sometimes you just gotta say, what the F. You know, it's funny, I've been praying a lot more, and because I kind of got the message, I kept seeing that
Prophet says, this man has the right to vote. Well, if he votes, yeah, I don't know. He's definitely got a driver's license. Although, do you need that in California? Probably not.
3:3, which I believe is the Jeremiah, call on me and I will answer thee, which, you know, I kind of didn't, I still don't get it. I'm really thick, guys. I'm sorry. You know, you just got to realize if y'all are feeling a little bit thick, I'm with you here. So I didn't get it. I never understood prayer, really never really got it, but I've been praying more because it's, I think what that is. And what I think is the story is that God wants us, in this case, at least in my case, and maybe in some other cases that are similar, to you continue to pray and pray and pray, even though you get no answer and no sign and no nothing. But He wants us to pray for whatever reason. I don't get it. There's all kinds of evidence in the Scripture, and
I mean, predetermined modes of behavior. So he doesn't understand anything about it or why it would be good in his life. He just feels like it's better than the alternative. I suppose a lot of people feel that way, right? Prophet says, this literally drives me batty. These people agitate me so deeply. Yeah, for sure. Although I can't help, like, you know, I've fallen out of it in the recent years, but I used to just spend hours listening to these kooks. It's taking me back. I'm having a little bit of a flashback from like 5 years ago.
From other witnesses and whatever, that prayers are important. Prayers, you know, like for instance, I'll hear these stories about how it makes a wall of fire that goes up, and it disrupts any demonic activity in the area, and so it strengthens you and also helps to tamp down the strength of demons that are within you, and so.
Prophet says, it's just schizophrenia mixed with complete narcissism. I am the star of the show. I just know it. Oh, 100%. 100%. And when I was looking for videos before I started the stream, that's what all of them were about. And some of them, they've stopped using the term gang stalking, it seems like. Now, what they talk about mostly is narcissists and the effects of narcissists. They call the people that stalk them narcissists. That's the current lingo.
This morning I prayed to have to be a person that doesn't have any swear words in their mouth, and that is all holy. And because I haven't been. I mean, I've been in LA light. I've been like an Isaiah, foul-mouthed man in a foul-mouthed city. Here in LA, you know, it's it's pretty nasty. I mean, but I'm here for a reason. You know, I've definitely gotten that point, and
there it is.
There's a lot worse places to be. I think that
is there really a worse place to be than Los Angeles, than L.A.? I don't know, maybe San Francisco, maybe. Well, I mean, just like that place is just falling apart, you know? Shit on the streets.
I wouldn't do as well out in the country. It would kind of, I mean, just from my own comfort point of view, you know, I mean, not talking about what needs to happen for the Lord.
Why wouldn't you would do much better out in the country, alone, isolated, not having to worry about helicopters constantly?
A lot of people tell me, "Hey man, gotta get out of LA. That's reptilian central, man. Base under." I know, dude. Believe me, I know. They're all. This is Satan's city. This is Satan's hometown. In fact, I heard that Satan's like earthly dwelling place, you might say, even though I think he has places all over the place. And I've heard that, and I read something like his seed is among something that's like this place in the Mediterranean, the Middle East, you know. But I heard several sources say that he has like you may like say like a country house out in a nearby place called Topanga, where I live, and Topanga Canyon is like a main thoroughfare, main road that is like, you know, central to the valley area, you might say. Even the Topanga Plaza is on Topanga Canyon.
Take it easy, Prophet. We'll see ya mañana.
Boulevard. But there's a friend of mine who was speaking out of Satan that was dwelling in him. He was saying, "Yeah, I really want to live down in Topanga for some reason, because it was that satanic spirit wanting to connect with that other satanic spirit that was in control of him." By the way, that's not speaking against him necessarily. As I pointed out, Satan dwells in everybody, and a lot of people can get offended by that, or you know, they don't want to hear anything like that. But it's a common thing, and I've gotten used to it now, and it's a matter of acceptance of the truth.
There's this found footage movie that came out last year. Actually, if you go back on my YouTube channel, if you look at the information on my YouTube channel, I included it in my best films of the year. It's called Murder, Death, Koreatown. It used to be on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure if it still is, but it is kind of a murder mystery, paranoia thriller done in found footage style that is exactly like this. Super fascinating. There's another one of those goddamn planes looking at me. Just fucking looking at me like I'm a bug.
So, as some of you may know by now, I can't talk about a lot of things about what happened the last 2 years, starting in late 2019 or mid 2019.
Why?
I mean 2018, and then through 2019 and the beginning of, well, actually the whole of 2020, and then part of 2020. It's still ongoing a little bit, but the main adventure and everything is over. And as I told you, my girlfriend, my love, passed on around October of 2020.
That's sad.
And so I can't talk everything about it because there's a rule. I told you about this, and heavenly powers, I mean angels, and they have to go by certain rules. And because I was involved, I have to abide by those rules and not talk.
How does he know about these rules? Oh man, this may require further investigation.
Talk about certain things, but I wanted to just say about some of what I experienced. That being in love was an amazing thing. It was something added to me. It gave me something that I had not experienced before, and it was.
It's like the same mindset as those IRL streamers, the in real life streamers, who just like walk around and talk to themselves like crazy people with their selfie stick and their cell phones.
It was a huge addition to my life. I've never had something quite like that, and I realize now, because you see, what I found was that it wasn't just that we were, like two people that happened to fall in love. It wasn't that. It was that.
So he's got to check behind him because he doesn't know. Is this guy a part of the concert of people that follow him? Is he being gang stalked right now?
We were a soul match. We were. I believe that we're soulmates. She said that she saw all throughout time, even Captain Jones as an old man, very old man in Japan, and he's not that old now, but she saw everything over time. She saw us together, and it was, she said that we were lovers before, and...
Schizophrenia, a love story. And this is kind of the thing, I mean, in some sort of weird way, if a person like this, if you can find some sort of happiness in your life like that, good for you, I guess. Is he really hurting anybody? Is he really doing anything? No, he's not. So if you want to conduct yourself this way, I suppose, hey, more power to you. But at the same time, it's just so sad, and it's part of the problem. And they kind of talked about it in that Vice documentary where they find these communities. Most of it's online, and this is not like a new phenomenon. Like a lot of people that believe fucked up things find each other online, and then they create like a support system, and then they feed each other's psychopathy. It is what it is, I guess. But to actually find somebody that you engage with in a relationship, well, that's something special. That's something real special. I've always said this. There's somebody out there for everybody, and he found that person. Unfortunately, it passed away. Maybe it was an old elderly woman. I don't know.
And things were a lot different. Things looked a lot different, I'll just say. And but we were still us, and she remembered things and saw things of our past lives, even though I don't think everything is like perfectly clear, as far as what happened goes. But as far as knowing who we were and what we were doing, it was a case where she could see everything. I love this open food bar here. It's very village-esque. I like these little neon signs here. But what I'm trying to get to is that what I realize now is what everybody's been singing about that I've been hearing, because I hadn't been in love all my life. It took me till I was 50 years old to fall in love. And it was for a brief time. I had it for about a year and a half. And really only about maybe like a half a year when I knew that we were in love. But we were both laughing. I said it took us both a year. I was the one to say it outright. Yeah, and we were laughing at how long it took us to figure it out. We were just laughing because it's funny. We were both stubborn, and we were having these arguments. Like she would say something on a video, and then I would make a reply video, and you know, just bantering back and forth, you know, or funny little arguments about this or that.
I wonder if they ever actually met each other. That's what I'm curious about now. Because she was somebody in the YouTube community, obviously. Do reply videos. Was that the extent of their relationship? And maybe they chatted, you know? They had each other's emails, Messenger, something like that. All the things that a guy like this should be staying the fuck away from. If he feels like he's being gang stalked and fucked with. But
and then finally I see. I think I can say this much, that she was. I think. Well, I know, and I already told you this, that she knew that she was at the end of her life. But it wasn't just that. Is that she was extremely dissatisfied with her life for various reasons. Because I think I'll put it this way, she wasn't fitting for what she was, and she had kind of a sense of maybe of doom about it because she had foreseen that she was going to die, and that's why before she left to Singapore, she said that she chewed me out, but it was to try to, like, you know, make me not feel so bad about her leaving, like, oh, okay, she's a bitch, well, I don't really care about her, you know, and that kind of thing. But that didn't happen that way. She was, you know, as you know, I posted the video and it's there forever. She was found in the river 6 days after being there for 6 days with her wrist tied up to the side, and because Satan and 2 demons had attacked her. And so then
Whoa. I thought he wasn't supposed to be able to talk about this. That's some pretty heavy shit, if you think that. Also, I'm curious how he found this information. So I'm starting to think that maybe he never actually met this person. Maybe he was being, what do you call it, catfished? Like, in a certain way, you know, maybe not literally, because this person's making videos. Maybe their face is up there. But that's an intense thing to think.
When she was injured, the great Master Monk Apperchat came and rescued her with a bunch of monks. Came and got her out of the hospital because he knew, like I knew then. I was concerned about it, and then I found out he came and rescued her out of that hospital because Satan could attack her in the hospital. I knew that could happen, so I was really glad when I found that out. And
this is taking a really sad turn here. Because this is not a well person, and it seems like maybe. Just maybe being fucked with a little bit.
When she got back to the monastery, she was really injured. She was blind. Satan had stolen her eyes, and she called me, and that's how our relationship really developed. Is because she started calling me every day, being blind at the monastery, and I was kind of like her friend away from just basically the rest of the monks that were there at the monastery, which is an all-male monastery. They don't let women in. But
what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did this happen? Like, we need much more information.
Master Monk put his golden master's status robe on her and named her Jerua, which means above all. And because he knew how powerful she was. Don't you think it's amazing, guys? This guy, Master Monk Apperchat, okay?
Yes, I do think it's amazing.
This 80-something-year-old master, I don't know how old he was, but pretty old. And, because you can see from the picture. And here when he was 12 years old, gets a dream from the Lord to build the monastery and wait for the princess that would come. And my Anna was that princess. And he ended up giving his life for her. As the final act of his great life, he actually gave his life for her. He died in the process of helping her, is the most I can say. I'm not supposed to talk about the details of exactly what happened. But if any of these...
So he has this wild story that he's not allowed to tell people about. that they've obviously told him, laundered to him, I suppose. Yeah, he's definitely never met this person.
Monks see this, I will explain it to them over email. But I just can't make a video about it. So, all these guys are getting off work. They've been building that thing. I haven't even seen it, the whole thing in construction. What's going on, man? Finally off work, huh? Yeah, I used to, believe it or not, that's what I used to do. Not on big stuff like this, but houses, apartments, that kind of thing. And there's something to be said for it, you know, putting in a hard day's menial labor. Nothing like a good beer, shower and a beer after that, man. Crack open a beer, turn on the TV, smoke a little weed. It's the life, man. So anyway, yeah.
He just had a moment where he connected with his humanity. He's like, yeah, I used to just be a regular Joe. Just like these guys. Not out trying to save the fucking planet.
So, and it's just amazing how, you know, the love that I felt in that situation was so weird. It was like I hadn't experienced anything like that. But what I was trying to get to say here was that I now realize that it is the central thing of life. It's, even though like Anna and ours and my interests are different. You know, I like anime and fantasy stuff, science fiction, that kind of stuff. Some of our interests diverge, but I mean, she likes rocks. I kind of like rocks, but it's not my passion, you know. But we were two different people with different interests, but we loved each other, and I knew that she really loved me because, see, she didn't even really fully realize it, but I knew that she did the whole time. Because she sent me flowers and gifts and everything, like I was somebody special to her, and I never got it. I thought, I was so suspicious and negative. I thought it was, you know, probably partially a satanic plot to get me to loosen up to somebody, and then that's when they can come in. Satan can come in and corrupt you.
It's so awful. Like, imagine, like, this is how you feel about the world. Any potential relationship or friendship, romantic or otherwise, that's how you think. You're like always suspicious. Like, are you trying to fuck me, buddy? You trying to fuck my soul? You trying to let the demons in?
You see? And I know that they go for these big, long-term plans, you know? These big things where they try to get you, you know? Oh, this is the courthouse. I can't walk on the video camera. I love you, my Anna. Wherever you might be, I pray for your happiness.
Good God. Jesus. What a sad guy, man.
Hey friends, don't forget to check me
Oh, he's on BitChute too.
out on BitChute and Brighteon, where I also have exclusive content that I cannot share on this platform. In case you guys want to check that out, and also if I go missing, check me out on BitChute and Brighteon.
Whoa. We got a fella. He's got some beliefs. God damn. What do you got here? Free our world. Support Richard Bruce Truth Ministries. Comments are turned off. Well, I'm going to have to sub to this channel. Hit that bell. Gotta know. Does he have anything else that would be maybe short and interesting? Gang stalking, targeting gang stalking comments. A lot of those. Of course, he's got a jillion fucking videos. Let's find something more recent. Ancient Angel saw no alien. Is the U.S. military controlled by reptilians? It's gotta be more of the same shit. So we're gonna watch this little short video he put together. It's called U.S. Marine Randy Kramer swears in front of Raptor reptilian judge. Okay, because I'm curious. I gots to know.
I actually met raptors, the subterranean indigenous reptoids.
This is from Gaia.com. Now, Gaia used to be a channel that I think you could get on Amazon. I don't know if you can anymore. But it's kind of funny that something like this is there. They used to have the show called Esoteric Hollywood. It was hosted by a guy who's still online. He still does stuff on YouTube, Jay Dyer, who's some sort of sect of Christianity. I can't remember exactly. It's like very fundamentalist, like Catholic guy, kind of. Probably getting that wrong. But anyways.
On planet Earth who are from here, they've developed here, they evolved here, and they've been living underground for a very, very long time. So a reptoid is a term to describe any general species of a reptilian origin. When we talk about the raptors, we're talking about a specific indigenous terrestrial species that is evolved from dinosaurs and essentially went subterranean a very, very long time ago. So they tend to have longer, thinner legs. They tend to have a long curved neck with a longer snout. I wouldn't go so far to say as that they're friendly. I would go so far as to say that they're not hostile, but people are given sort of general warnings to not wander into their territory because you might end up food if you run into the wrong group of people. We definitely have an interactive relationship with them and a participating, cooperative relationship in bringing balance to the surface. So their main concern is as we imbalance what's happening on the surface, that threatens the planet as a whole. Now, their subterranean civilizations will survive regardless, but they have an interest in whether or not the surface world is healthy or not. And so the worse it gets, the more they kind of have to communicate to us, you can't just destroy life on the surface. You need to fix that, or we'll take some action to fix it if you don't.
And who is receiving that intel? So the extraterrestrials know this is going on.
Right.
And the extraterrestrials that are on the surface know this is going on. Some of them may be in a position of leadership that can maybe express
what's up, Paul?
Problem we have.
I mean, they certainly have a social political structure, and so their leadership communicates with our leadership, and they cooperate for mutual gain and mutual benefit for the planet.
Oh shit, Big Paul dropped a Ninja Guinea. Thank you, my friend. Getting closer to that expensive bottle of Whistle Pig as we speak.
And both species as a whole.
And that's how you got down to Inner Earth.
Yes, absolutely.
And why were you in Inner Earth?
I had to sign some paperwork and swear an oath in front of a judge.
Mm. And were there extraterrestrials there that you witnessed?
It was a raptor judge, so it was basically...
So this guy is saying that he actually went before a raptor judge. Like, this is not some dream, this is not some fantasy he's claiming. He's like, no, I went before a fucking raptor judge. As seen on Uman TV channel entitled, "Why do you think Earth attracts so many ETs?" Oh, wow.
A terrestrial personnel, a member of our services who escorted me there, and we waited outside the courtroom, which nobody was in. But then when it was ready, when it was time, I went in and stood in front of him, and he asked me some questions, made me, raise my hand and swear, and then sign some papers, got a thumbprint, and then I was on my way.
Was that to get more access to other places in the galaxy, or?
It was to grant me a authority under their legal system, which is global. So it actually was able to extend my legal authority beyond our own federal system into a global legal network.
Tell me more about the Raptors and their legal authority.
Well, they've been here longer than we have.
Oh, I'm sorry, raptors and their legal authority is not interesting to you? You just want to know about fuck dolls? Typical white American male.
So their legal authority is a bit bigger and a bit broader. So in order to have a larger authority for investigative powers that they wanted to give me, it was important to essentially go through that process for me to swear, promise, sign, thumbprint to them so that I was sanctioned under their legal authority, under their legal umbrella, which was bigger than the legal umbrella that my people were able to give me clearance for. So it was an extra clearance, extra authority given to me by them.
That's it? Like, for what reason? Like, why? Jeez. Talking about leaving me with blue balls. Blue blood balls, that is. I think, does he have the full... Is the U.S. military controlled by reptilians? I went to Richard Bruce's BitChute channel here. I want to know. You gotta know. Gotta know, dude.
The following I will read here is from an interview from Gaia that can be found at the Uman TV channel entitled, "Why Do You Think the Earth Attracts So Many ETs?" This is a transcription from a segment of interest from that clip, after which I will comment concerning it.
Get me with it, brother.
Randy
Do it.
Kramer speaking to Emery
Do
Smith on Gaia in 2021. Clip on Uman TV. Randy Kramer, Mars Marine, 17 years, is speaking with fellow secret space personnel Emery Smith, now working with Gaia. The clip I cut out for this examination starts out with Randy Kramer saying, "I actually met raptors, the subterranean reptoids of planet Earth. They are from here, they developed here, they evolved here, and they have been living underground for a very, very long time." Then
Yes.
Randy goes on to explain. So a reptoid is a term to describe any species of a reptilian origin. When we talk about raptors, we are talking about a specific terrestrial
Clever girl.
species that has evolved from dinosaurs and essentially went subterranean a very, very long time ago. So they tend to have longer, thinner legs. They tend to have a long, curved neck with a longer snout.
This is like the plot of the Super Mario Brothers, the movie, except it's not in a different dimension.
I would not go so far as to say they are friendly, but I would go so far as to say they are not hostile. But people are given general warnings not to wander into their territory, because you might end up food if you run into the wrong group of people. We definitely have an interactive relationship with them and a participating, cooperative relationship in bringing balance to the surface. So their main concern is, as we imbalance what is happening on the surface, that threatens the planet as a whole. Now, their subterranean civilizations will survive regardless, but they have an interest in whether or not the surface world is healthy or not. The worse it gets, the more they have to kind of say, you know, you just can't destroy life on the surface. You need to fix that, or we'll take some action to fix it if you don't. Emery Smith says, who is receiving that intel? So the extraterrestrials know this is going on, and the extraterrestrials that are on the surface know this is going on. Some of them may be in a position of leadership that can maybe express this. Randy Kramer replies, yeah, I mean, they certainly have a social, political structure, and so their leadership communicates with our leadership, and they cooperate for mutual gain and mutual benefit, for the planet, and for both species as a whole. Emery Smith says, and that's how you got down to Inner Earth? Randy Kramer replies, absolutely. Emery Smith says, and why were you in Inner Earth? Randy Kramer replies, I had to sign some paperwork and swear an oath in front of a judge. Emery says, and were there extraterrestrials there that you witnessed? Randy replies, it was a raptor judge, so basically it was terrestrial.
So part of, I guess, Randy Kramer's background is that he makes claims that he lived on Mars for 17 years. And he fought aliens. He fought reptiles. Okay, then.
Personnel, armed services who escorted me there, who waited outside the courtroom, which nobody was in. But when it was ready, when it was time, I stood in front of him. And he asked me some questions, made me raise my hand and swear, signed some papers, got a thumbprint, and I was on my way. Emery says, was that to get more access to other places in the galaxy? Or, Randy replies, it was to grant me authority under their legal system, which is global. So it actually is able to extend my legal authority beyond our own federal system into a global legal network. Emery says, tell me more about the Raptors and their legal authority. Randy says, well, they've been here longer than we have, so their legal authority is a bit bigger and a bit broader. So in order to have a larger authority...
So they have an infrastructure that supersedes our infrastructure in terms of law and life. So I guess the implication is they've been underground and they've been pulling the strings in the background. I mean, there's lots of things that have preceded civilizations in terms of where they end up, right, geographically. Does the rule of the Native American have more import than the colonizers? Is that kind of what he's implying? You know, if they've lived underground, they've been living in caves, or just underground. How have they been doing all this?
Authority for an investigative powers that they wanted to give me, it was important to essentially go through that process for me to swear, promise, sign, thumbprint, so I was sanctioned under their legal authority, under their legal umbrella, which was bigger than the legal umbrella my people were able to give me clearance for. So it was an extra clearance, extra authority given to me by them. That concludes the clip of which I am referring to for this comment. And now comments about that conversation clip.
Well, tell me the truth, Richard.
So addressing this information, I would first address what Randy Kramer says about the raptor reptilians, in which he says, quote, I actually met raptors, the subterranean reptoids of planet Earth. They are from here, they developed here, they evolved here, and they have been living underground for a very, very long time.
Demons.
Many Christians would dismiss this information as deception about evolution. But just because Randy Kramer is a secret space program insider does not mean he understands everything about how life forms truly began. And he is likely in any case repeating the information he was given. If you think about it, given as we humans also do not have any hard proof records of where we originated from, likely other species do not either, and maybe under
Haven't you ever seen Prometheus?
General deception, just like humans, that they evolved from animals. I have reverse speech tested Randy Kramer extensively, and while this is not a definitive test of trustworthiness, he came out clean so far. In my opinion, he is telling the truth, and also is not deceived by false memories. Next, Randy says, people are given...
What is this test that you did? I reverse speech tested him. What the fuck does that mean? What's the methodology here?
General warnings not to wander into their territory, because you might end up food if you run into the wrong group of people. There is understandable disbelief in something like reptilians that live here in the earth with us, that eat humans regularly. But God's word, besides many witnesses, confirm this. Fact. God said Adam was made of the dust. Fact. God told the serpent, dust shall you eat all the days of your life. Next, referring to what Randy Kramer says, quote, it was a raptor judge. He asked me some questions, made me raise my hand and swear, signed some papers, got a thumbprint, and I was on my way, end quote. This itself does not prove reptilian dominance, but the fact you have a human raising his hand and swearing to a reptilian judge tells us that at least some humans are subject to reptilian law.
Okay, I want to know more about this Randy Kramer guy. He's out there in the open, in the public, making these claims. You know what I mean?
In my experience of targeting from uploading reptilian exposure movies and realizing there was this entire hidden subculture of non-humans, I realized these reptilians must also have their own law, separate from human law. And in this clip of Randy Kramer, we can see clearly that in fact is the case. Randy goes on to detail that he knew the reptilian law was older and more broad than human law, clearly indicating superiority. Notice that means military superiority, and likely to the extent that humans who are aware of the reptilians are strongly compelled not to mention their existence, or else we might have heard of them by now from some president or other governmental figure. This begs the question, what is it that compels them to keep this rather huge news from the American people? What keeps all the world's governments in line with keeping the existence not just of reptilians, but of all extraterrestrials and even giants completely silent? There is no replacement for overwhelming, superior military force. If the reptilians did not have overwhelming, superior military force, combined with readily usable mind and memory control, it is likely some president or someone high-ranking would have put together a resistance capable of holding its own and releasing the information to the public. The only other thing that could cause all the people that know about the serpents to not talk about it would be an order from God, which I think is less likely. Notice nowhere in the scripture does it say we should not expose the serpents, but rather it says, Luke 10:19, "Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy."
See, this is the battle, that spiritual battle between man and serpents, power endowed to them by their Creator.
And nothing shall by any means hurt you. Consider this means that most American presidents either knew about it and were motivated to not talk about it, or they and everyone around them were mind and memory controlled to the extent that the entire show rolls on and no one knows reptilian law is superior to human law, and this means the reptilians control humanity. Next, Randy says, quote, "It was to grant me authority under their legal system, which is global. So it actually is able to extend my legal authority beyond our own federal system into a global legal network," end quote. So here's the detail showing us that reptilian law and thus rule is not just over America, but the world, because he says the raptor reptilian law is global. Now, it can indeed be believed.
That is what he said. And he did the reverse speech test, so he would know.
That humans are working with reptilians, the way any different races work together. But consider the degree of secrecy required to make sure no one will go to the news media with their existence. Rather, a big story. Consider the control that must be over the news media to make sure no one slips in who has seen a reptilian and managed to get a story out. It must be a massive operation of complete control over government, media.
So why are they allowed to? Why is Randy Kramer, why is David Icke, why are they allowed to talk about this stuff? Is it because it's kind of like they got to let a little bit out, right? So that can be discredited. They can be called crazy.
Media, social media, military, law enforcement, and all major business.
Look at these reptiles.
Just to keep the existence of reptilians a secret. I have a clip of self-proclaimed reptilian insectoid hybrid Simon Parkes talking about an interview show he did for a British media company in which, for telling his story, he wanted to show a picture of an insectoid with a reptilian. However, the authorities
This guy, actually, a few weeks ago, we covered this guy. We covered. He was on a BBC documentary about abductions. So if you go back in the annals of Nightcap, a little bit of serendipity here. We heard this guy's story and how he believes that his parents are actually extraterrestrial, and he had a human wife, but he also had an alien wife, and he had a bunch of alien children.
Of the network came in and told them that the picture of the insectoid could be used, but not the picture of the reptilian. So in order to make the show for British consumption, they had to cut out the picture of the reptilian. The way it was described, the authority at the news network seemed to be going by established law, which law is that no picture of reptilians may be used in a news story. The fact that the reptilians have a law that any resemblance of a reptilian cannot be used in a news or television broadcast alone means that the news and information we get from television is under their control. Who knows what other information they don't allow?
Who can say?
Is it legal by American law and the American Constitution that a non-declared group, nation, or entity have superiority over Americans? Is it legal under the U.S. Constitution that a foreign, undeclared power have authority over members of the American Armed Forces? Is it legal under the Constitution of the United States of America that a foreign power or entity have the ability to bind a member of the armed forces of the United States without Congress and the American people being informed and consenting? I dare suggest that laws from a foreign power, especially non-humans...
Yeah, but they're not foreign, though, are they? They've been here before we were. You said it yourself, Rich. Dick. Whatever you go by. You said it yourself. They've been here before us. Richard even kind of inferred that their power supersedes ours because they were here first. Aren't you even paying attention, dude?
Are illegal to be imposed or enforced on any American, as there are no provisions for this in the Constitution or any law which such a law must be made publicly available to the American people. Therefore, any member of the American government, from the President to all members of Congress, who are aware of this foreign power, either having influence or imposing regulation which affects the American people, and has not disclosed this information publicly, is a traitor to the United States of America, and each one having been found knowing that a foreign power has direct influence over American government and policy must be tried for treason. Consider the implications here that a foreign power, even a non-human entity, has authority to cause a member of the armed forces of the United States to obey their foreign and unknown dictates. Consider the amount of unknown information, policies, and history of action by this foreign power, the Raptor reptilians in this case, as they have affected government policy of the United States. The fact that these non-humans even exist, with knowledge of anyone as a public representative elected by the people, represents an act of treason against the entirety of the American people. Any person of the armed forces of the United States of America, whose salary is thus paid for by the American taxpayer, and who knowingly serves an undeclared, unregulated, and entirely unknown foreign...
Can't trust these guys. They're traitors.
...power, especially non-humans, is at the very least in question for obeying orders known to have been a directive from an undeclared foreign power, and is also obligated as a matter of righteousness as a fellow American citizen, even at the risk of death or worse, to inform his chain of command as well as publish as widely as possible to his fellow Americans that America now or ever has been under the laws of a foreign power. The Constitution and American law are clearly against the influence and certainly regulation by a foreign power to affect anything as it pertains to Americans, and the American people should demand an immediate review of this situation by their elected representatives, with a full investigative body overseen by a publicly elected and declared independent body of evidence gatherers, and a full report be made and a decision rendered. Randy Kramer has stated clearly that he is a legal member of the Armed Forces of the United States of America, the
Yeah, but it says interstellar soldier right there, dude. I mean, come on.
Marines, and has served as a Marine on the planet Mars for 17 years, and has interacted with several species of non-humans, all of which has been denied general knowledge by the American people, and yet has been paid for by the taxes of the American people.
What a shame.
This and many other operations costing in the trillions of dollars up to this point has gone on illegally and against the Constitution of the United States for at least 50 years, if not longer. Furthermore, there is additional information from other sources to suggest that American foreign policy, energy policy, immigration policy, and other areas of American government operation are influenced, if not outright controlled, by hidden, secret, unknown, undeclared, and therefore illegal foreign entities, which by law should have no influence on American governmental policy.
Known as the lizard people. Okay, all right, Richard, I get your point. Before we head off, though, let's check out a little bit of this Randy Kramer. Randy Kramer was already on Mars.
Randy, for those...
Not a very long video. And then he has something where he's like talking about COVID. We'll do that after this one. Alright. Oh, no. Hitting buttons over here.
Those people that don't know you, let's give a brief history about what you did in the military space program.
Sure. Well, I'm a captain, United States Marine Corps Special Section, which is the covert military space program arm of the Marine Corps, which was formed in about the 1954 timeframe by President Dwight D. Eisenhower as response to his lack of cooperation that he was getting from the MJ-12 committee. So in the late 1960s, they were developing a augmented soldier program to build soldiers genetically from the ground up, which I was in a program in the late 1960s called Project Moonshadow. So I was genetically engineered from the ground up, tinkered with some...
Well, it's like kind of an offshoot of MK Ultra. Maybe that's what he's kind of referencing.
Some extraterrestrial...
Or The Men Who Stare at Goats. You ever see that movie? That was a real thing our government did.
Hybridized DNA to, be smarter, faster, stronger for soldiering abilities. Was trained as a toddler through adolescence, teenage years, deployed when I was 17 years old for a 20-year tour of duty where I spent a little over 17 years in the MDF, which is the Mars Defense Force, which is a contracting agency that works for the Mars Colony Corporation, which is under the umbrella of the ICC, or the International Corporate Conglomerate. I was in the infantry there on the ground, mostly scuffling with indigenous reptoids and indigenous insectoids territorially, mostly really to test military equipment. And then at the end of that period, I was given a promotion, got to go to flight school, and finished out my 20-year tour as a pilot in an air wing aboard the EDF SS Nautilus, which stands for Earth Defense Force Starship Nautilus, which is basically an aircraft carrier in space, patrolling the solar system to keep, interlopers out. Luna Operations Command. A couple of times, like on the way out, on the way back, certainly during the training period, it was a place that we went back and forth to a few times. It's a big place. It's big, and it's been there since they probably broke ground on it like in 1953, 1954, something like that. So it's been there forever. One of the things that I thought was the most fascinating about it was how, depending on the part of the complex that you're in, you could really feel like you're walking through time, walking from one end to the other, because you might be at a part that was built in 1955. The doors, tile clocks, the signs over the doors, the light switches, the desks are from 1955. Like, there's all this old materials in some places. They have not replaced or upgraded in some locations. So you literally feel like you're walking into almost like a historical set from a World War II movie because of all the sort of World War II era, 1940s, 50s kind of materials. And then as you move along to different areas, you can get to all these different upgrades of building materials.
Is this a artistic rendition of the upper echelons of Martian culture? Oh my.
60s, 70s. I remember walking down the hallway to the administration section and noticing that it was the same yellow wall paint, the same yellow carpet that was in my doctor's office when I was in the 70s, with the same pleather chairs, whether they're that mustard yellow color, right? Same stuff. The carpet was all
Somebody likes science fiction novels of a certain era.
and had holes in it and totally needed to be torn up and replaced, but nah, they weren't going to spend money on that part. But then you get to like one of the advanced medical sections, and then it's like you're in 2055, you know, and you've walked from 1945 to the future just because of when something was built. No upgrading whatsoever, and you could walk through a number of departments and feel like you've just walked through time to get from one end to the other. That's what trips me out sort of about it. It's a trippy place, but it's huge. It's I couldn't tell you how many levels, how many square feet, how many miles, you know, deep, wide. But it's big because it's been built and expanded on over the decades. It just keeps bigger and bigger.
But what was it like to be out in deep space?
It is the most gorgeous thing ever. If you've ever been out, far out from light bleed, out in the middle of nowhere, super, super clear skies.
If you ever
Zion
have,
National
by
Park,
chance.
probably one of the places on the planet that has some of the clearest, starriest skies. And I've had people tell me being out in the middle of the ocean, on a calm ocean in the middle of the night, is very similar because the stars reflecting off of space make it feel like you are completely surrounded by stars. So if you think about what a starry night sky looks like in that clear, away from the city light bleed looks like, which is full of stars, Imagine even more full of stars because you're actually outside the atmosphere. You actually get farther away from the sun, and those stars get even brighter, and so you see even more stars. So when you're out in space, what you notice is if you turn everything off and you're in the dark, so to speak, nothing of the kind. You are lit up in a sea of stars. I mean, you could read a book by it. It's that bright when you're out there. The power goes out. I can whip out the emergency manual and hold it up to the window, and I can read by starlight. It's also not confusing because we're in the arm of the galaxy. All right, and so the band of the Milky Way galaxy that goes across the sky when you're looking up from the sky. Well, when you're in space, that's not a band that arcs across the sky. It's a circle that goes all the way around you, and it is in the horizon position because of where we are in the arm. So when you're out there in space, you look up and you know there's the northern stars, and you look down and there's the southern stars, and then all around you are the constellations. Just like clock position. How space people navigated in space forever, right? So when you're out there, you can look in any direction and know pretty much where you are, where you're going. There's no sense of I'm lost, where am I? It's dark, I don't know what's happening. It is absolutely the most visible, beautiful, gorgeous, easy to figure out where you are. And again, that horizon point, that up and down thing, all of a sudden, because you think as a pilot on the ground, oh, when I'm out in space, there's not going to be an up or a down. Yeah, there's totally an up and a down, and it's the horizon line of the galaxy that goes around you in that band. It's a circle that goes all the way around you, and you're never above or below that horizon point because you'd have to above or below the galaxy line to get out of that. And any direction you go, you're not getting outside of that horizon line, so that horizon is a constant. You have to leave the galaxy for that ring around you, that horizon point, to disappear. When you're out there and it's totally dark and it's totally quiet and the engine hum turns off and the electrical hum turns off and there's nothing in radio going on in your ear, space makes music. There is a musical sound that it makes. And I am told by extraterrestrials who understand this a bit better than I do that if you become really familiar and psionically attuned to hear that sound, you can navigate by it.
Oh my.
That it actually will tell you which directions you want to go by which.
A lot of vague stuff there, Kramer. All right, well, that video is almost over. But, yeah, we got that. Let's check out we're going to check out one more video before we leave.
Okay, so
This is called Randy Kramer, April 2020 warning and advice for COVID-19. Oh, bring it up to the current year. Well, almost current year, current culture.
this is off subject a little bit, but
Oh, sure.
what advice would you give people right now during this time? Because a lot of people are freaked out and panicked all over the world. What's your advice to the people?
This guy has way too nice of a house to be involved in this stuff.
Wait for it.
See, this is the correct place you should be. In your car. On your cell phone.
Just wait for it. So, look, we're pretty sure that we're moving towards a disclosure moment. That's happening, right? There's an inevitability point that we have to reach that's happening.
Okay, so when was this video put out? Let me see. Hold on. Let me check real quick. April 1st, 2020. Disclosure point. Now, as we all know, it's a big hot topic in the news these days. What is going on? Have aliens visited us? What are governments watching?
I would suggest that the most likely condition under which that's going to happen is necessity, desperation, and where, again, one choice outweighs the other, where the old way of doing something is like, well, we have to protect this thing, so we're going to keep society from changing so that the market doesn't crash or things don't happen. Well, market's crashing, the economy is crashing, so we're already looking at desperate things that we have to do just to keep things going from that state. So I would suggest that as this progresses, and what will progress here is the pandemic will progress, social and civil unrest will progress, military conflict around the world will progress, and then...
Okay, so right now, a year later, we know that some of these things have come to bear some sort of fruit. Now, that's not me saying that I agree with Randy Kramer. But his prognosis, it's not that far off.
And when we're at the point of absolute necessity, that's when we're going to see something happen that will probably be far more interesting and far more shocking and far more, disruptive than what we're seeing now.
Why is he in his car? Do you think it's like his wife's like, listen, if you do this shit again, you fucking take it out of the house?
But in a way that when it sorts itself out will be pretty good when we get on the other end. So we're coming into the entry point of a phase that it's going to look pretty fucked up. I'm just going to be blunt and say it like that. It's going to look pretty fucked up. And it's going to be in certain places way more than others. I tell people who live, I've been telling people all year long before this happened. I was telling people last year, if you live in a major metropolitan area, get the fuck out. You don't want to be there. Go to a small town somewhere. Go somewhere quiet. Get off of the main path. It never hurts to have some extra food and water supplies, but the supply chains are unlikely to be completely disrupted, where people won't be able to get supplies, coming into the stores. Again, larger cities, metropolitan areas, this can be different because of the number of people that have to be served and the way the supply lines can get interrupted. I had talked to a friend yesterday who's in Washington, about an hour and a half out of Seattle. There's some stuff at the store that's just not being restocked on the shelves. I live somewhere that's a bit more remote than that, and I can still go to the store and get stuff. People are making rushes and, got to go get toilet paper on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays because you can't get it 7 days a week right now because people are scared and they're buying all the toilet paper. Right. But, I can still go to the store and get stuff. So the supply lines, while being interrupted and disrupted, are not going to be completely shut off during this process. So it never hurts to have some backup supplies on hand. But for a lot of people, if you're not prepared at this point, like, too late. Like, it's too late.
You're dead.
To get prepared. Like, there's not much ability for people to go to the stores and get prepared now because, people are hoarding supplies, and we're finding that that's what's really disrupting the supply chain, is not that there are no supplies, it's that people are showing up to the store and buying all the eggs and all the toilet paper and all the hamburger instead of just what they would need for the week, which if everyone still just bought what they needed for the week, there'd still be at the store. So it's the panic and the hoarding factor that's making it look like there's nothing there. So that will be affected. But, basically, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be implemented at the county level, at the state level, at the municipal level, regardless of whether the federal government gets their act together and is able to make certain things happen. There are a lot of things will be happening at the local levels to make sure that people have minimum supplies, have food, have water. But there's some places it's going to be harsher than others. That's just what's going to happen. But mostly, really, it's wait for it. Like, we're just getting started, just wait for it. What's going to happen? We could see another virus or two. There's one that could be coming out of Africa, another one that could be coming out of Brazil. So this really could only be one of the first virus of...
Which is interesting because they just talked about the other day a Brazilian strain that is unique. Oh, Randy's got his ear to the stone, getting messages.
2 or 3 that we could see. For people who are following along in this country, we are super close to right-wing terrorist, extremist, seditionists starting a civil war in this country. Not everywhere, not in all 50 states. If you live in the Virginias or in the Carolinas, it's probably going to be rougher. You're going to see it more present there than some people are going to see it farther west. But New Jersey, I want to say was like first of the year, it was like January. New Jersey said that domestic terrorism was actually their greatest potential threat that they were assessing based on their intelligence reports that they were getting, than foreign terrorism or even random crime. So there are actual assessments that have been done that say that domestic terrorism that is coming from this extreme right-wing movement that wants to start a civil war is coming from, and they're going to have their moment in a weak space when some state governments are feeling weak by the pandemic. They're going to feel emboldened, and they're going to make a move. And when they do, then Civil War 2.0 is going to get on. And right now we have a situation in northern Syria where you have American Army Humvees and Russian Army trucks right alongside each other on the territorial lines, on the border lines where there's, this is Russian territory and this is, U.S. military territory, right up against each other, throwing rocks and cans and spitting and calling each other names. So there are people on the ground there that are ready to set off a powder keg that could get us and the Russians going at any minute now. And then you've got China flexing its muscles in the South China Seas, including using aircraft to laser paint targets U.S. ships in the ocean, which is an escalation that they have not done before. And then we're sending submarines deep into their territory, surfacing them, going, see, we can surface right off your coast. Be good about this. And then what's happening now is this kind of political battle between the federal government and the Chinese government, where the Chinese government is saying, you started the virus, you sent a bioweapon over here and it's your fault. And we're like, no, it's your virus, it's your fault. And so there's actually some pretty serious heavy finger pointing and blame going around there. So that's the powder keg that could go. Russian is a powder keg that can go. Civil War 2.0 is a powder keg that's going to go. All of this stuff could go off at any minute, but I would suggest that as it gets more chaotic, we're really just getting to the inevitability of that disclosure event, whether peaceful or not peaceful. It's just an inevitability point, and it will happen. So my advice, wait for it.
Wait for it. Now,
be as prepared as you can, be as safe as you can. Like let's be practical here. Be prepared as you can, be as safe as you can. Don't do anything stupid. Don't be hasty. Don't fight with your neighbors. Don't, get into kerfuffles over toilet paper at the supermarket. Be kind to your fellow human beings and your fellow citizens, but wait for it because it's going to get real.
Wow. So, okay.
Wow.
So I wonder if there's some type of technology that could somehow make the situation better. Somehow.
He's just like, where's the alien talk, man? Where's the ancient aliens? Where's this hidden tech?
Somewhat.
Sure. Rife machines. Right now, anybody who's got a rife machine, doesn't have to worry about being killed or being sick by the coronavirus. It's a genetically modified SARS virus. So if you had a rife machine, you would just set it to basically the SARS virus and then treat the body with frequency to kill the SARS.
Oh, when they came here, it was Randy Kramer. He was gonna save us from the lies. Them lies they told us over and over till the days before you. With the hazy future, we didn't know the answer, and then they came. And now he's back with a chance from his 20 and back. Oh, I hope he's gonna spread his word. Bless your soul, Mr. Randy. Oh, Randy Kramer. It was 17 years on the red planet Mars. Spent a long time away from home.
Well, there you go. There's a little song there at the end. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight, everybody. What a journey. What a time. As always, here on Nightcap. And we'll see you guys next week. See you next week. Goodbye.